23, 24, and 24, 25. And as the committee knows, in those 2 years, there's some really important projects for us. The HVAC at Daniel Hand, some Brown projects that are really very important for the school renewal plan, such as additional parking and windows project. And so we were very pleased to hear that route that the town was taking. But without a significant tax impact, they would not be able to do much more in the next 3 years. So in 25, 26, 26, 27, 27, 28, they asked us to come in around $1 million. And that would be within the current cash flow would be acceptable. Now, what I would say, and as the town shared with us, this doesn't mean that we won't be able to do more in those 3 years. It just means that the current model that we're putting forward would not be able to handle much more than the $1 million in those 3 years. If we receive grants, if projects come in for less, if there's additional tax receipts from other places, we'd be able to do more in CIP. But we felt it was important to do this. One thing that was also shared with us is obviously we're going out for bonding for the school project. Our rating is very important to us, and to show a positive model to those evaluating our bonding request is very important. And that this would be a step in the right direction for that. Bill and I did some hard work. We toured facilities and then came back to the table and looked at things. We're very concerned about some of the fields we put out, although they're in excellent shape right now. It's well beyond what is a normal use. Bill has it on the athletic page right now, so that high school track inside and then the outside track, both are in good shape, but you're talking now about not doing those till, say, the summer of 2030. And so those are beyond the 10 years, well beyond the 10 years that is normal. We do think we can certainly get more than 10 years because of the lighter usage of those in the good shape. And Bill made a great decision years ago to put a pad underneath those fields that will extend the life of those. So we do feel that that's a move we can make at this point, but we're going to have to closely monitor that and may have to take advantage of an opportunity down the road. We did not feel we could move the baseball field out any further, and you'll see that's the bulk of that year 25, 26, because that's tied to the project at Polson for geothermal. And so that would dig up the baseball field, put the geothermal wells under the field, and then the plan would be a synthetic field underneath, or synthetic field on top of the wells. We feel that that number could come down. That is the quote, and we feel it's a good quote. But if the digging for the geothermal and if there's grants available, that could take care of some of those costs, and we may only be paying for, say, the turf on top. So that 1.5 million may not be that high, but we want to put forward the quote we received, because that would be the full project. And at this point we're not certain we're doing geothermal. That's still in discussion phase. So that's the big piece in year 25, 26. You'll see we came real close in 27, 28, but and closer in 26, 27, but we did not want to make any further decisions without board input, and would feel comfortable putting this forward because it's pretty close to what was asked, and it is 3 years out at this point. Bill, what did I leave out?
So we also moved the Polson ADA and bathrooms, and let's see if we can find that. It's up here. We just simply moved these years that we split the 309,000 over the 5 years, And what we did is with the last 3 years, we just put 50,000 just to continue some work. And we put the balance in on the 6th year. The same with the bathroom ADAs. We just moved it out. Actually moved that out to the 7th year. And we just did 50,000 a year. So those were the two substantial things we did. We talked about, we moved the baseball out 1 year versus, and then we moved the fields out. So I think you covered everything. Yep. I'm just going over it in my head. We didn't do anything with the high school, and then Polson was the only other changes.
Do you think maybe you could just start at the top for us and just walk through? We've seen so many visions, and
happy to.
What's like different this time in this version from the last one? Because I'll want to be able to clarify that for the board tonight about what's changed since the last time we moved on this.
So the district facilities, we didn't change at all. These are the two items, the 25 and the 75 were for security and planning and engineering to help us with these projects. The same with the new rooftop units. We left the 200,000 in for planning and engineering, and the 2.97 million to replace the rooftop units at the high school. That never changed. None of this has changed. We left it the way it was on the high school. Any questions about the district or the high school?
Nope. So district is the same since last time, and Daniel Hand is the same since the last version.
Yep.
Got it.
Polson's the big change.
Yep. Okay.
And I briefly went over that. Here's the hardware. There's nothing above. It's the doors and hardware and the bathroom remodels. It's the building's 1960s. They've been on there a long time. We're still going to maintain and look at other ways to keep the security going and do some preliminary, minor changing. These are major renovations to all the doors, not just the doors and hardware, but the openings. And the bathrooms are 1960s, so that they're not easy fixes or easy renovations. It's not just removing the toilet fixtures and putting new ones in. So that we've moved that out. We split that up. We originally, I think, had the lump sum in like 2 or 3 years, and then we split it out over 5. And then just recently we took it out of 5 and moved it past the 5th year, and then both this one into the 6th and this one into the 7th. So this is the significant change at Polson.
So it's split up now over 7 years as opposed to 3.
One's over 6, and the significant majority of it's in the 6th year. We left the first 2 bulk years in, year 1 and 2. Year 3, 4, and 5, we just put a nominal amount in for the doors and hardware, and then we put the bulk in the 6th year. And really, once you start doing all this work, you're going to revisit the project and update the costs. So these are just planning dollars, and they were from the beginning. They're realistic numbers. We got actual dollars and costs for this kind of work, and then we've been moving it out. So my guess is once you spend 2 years doing some renovations, you're going to modify this plan anyways. The same with the ADA in the bathrooms. Similar, we left the bulk of it. We already have the money for the design. I'm already starting to do some of the design work. I'm lining somebody up to look at it. I just spent a lot of time today getting plans out. So we're going to try to do some of the repairs next year. And then the year after, I'd say a significant amount. And then we'll do 50,000 years 3, 4, and 5, and 6 and 7. We'll move it out to the bulk of the numbers.
What does that mean, Bill, for accessibility for the young people?
So the bathrooms are very accessible. We have ADA compliant bathrooms, but they're all not ADA compliant, and they're all older, and they're all maintained and taken care of. But if you go into the bathrooms at Polson, you'll be, saying, I'm not proud of these bathrooms. They're old. They're the urinals that go to the floor. You know what I mean? They were built in the 60s. They're cleaned and maintained. You see them at any older building, and they're not bad. It's not embarrassing. It's just not something you're proud of, and they're clean. So what we would do is we would renovate, when we built the building in the 60s, we spent a lot of money on the appropriate block. And it still looks good. It's not, decaying or anything. It's glazed block. It looks really good. The tiles, at the time was the top of the line. So it still looks good. It just looks old and dated. So, I mean, we've all been in old dated bathrooms that are clean and look proper, but they're just dated, they don't have flush valves, it's not automatic, it's in some of the bathrooms, you wouldn't be able to go in with a wheelchair. You'd have a hard time with, crutches and a walker. And if we renovate the bathrooms, we'll meet today's codes. We'll have those new standards.
Got it. Thank you.
And the reason we continued the 50,000 rather than just put in a zero is we felt like as soon as we started to get some momentum, we wanted to continue that. So even though that would be a small piece of the project, we wanted to show that this is important. We would continue that work, obviously, not as in great a scope, but wanted to, not lose sight of that. And then, of course, that would just, if we didn't do that, it would impact that final number higher too. So we wanted to be able to continue that.
Yeah, and the bathrooms and the doors are the main issues for that school. There are other issues, millwork, appearance of the hallways and that sort of stuff. We could be picking away at that through our planned cycle maintenance, not the significant amount that we would need to. We pushed all that out if we want to try to take it all on at once. But if there's a broken door or there's a broken cabinet or something, we'll have the funds to, do repairs. It's just not wholehearted, renovations of all the millwork that's from 1960s. So that's it for Polson. You want me to move on? You good with that?
I'm good with that. Anyone else from the committee have questions about Polson? Okay, thanks, Bill. Yeah, let's move along. Thank you.
You got it. So the next is Brown. And the same with Brown. We left the parking in year 2 and the walk-in cooler, which is a nominal number. And we left the millwork, which I think is important. We want a 1970 building, the window replacement, and the kindergarten playground's a big deal. And then some window replacement. So we left all those things in. I don't think we moved anything out that I can find. We didn't really move anything out from the last time. Dr. Cook, you agree?
Yes, no, I think that we didn't want to touch Brown because of those important projects coming forward. The library furniture we moved out last time, those other pieces. So I think that we would be in good shape for what we needed to accomplish before the school renewal plan.
Great. Any questions from the committee on Brown? No? Okay.
So the last is the athletic program that the main issues with the athletic program, of course, is the baseball field and the tennis courts. Those are old, existing, once again, those are back into the 60s when we built the building. I think the baseball field was shortly after that. And the tennis courts are the same. They're, the same vintage. We just started the study for the final plans for what we're going to do with the Polson mechanical and electrical systems. I think we all know that, that the geothermal is something the town has strived to do, and it will be the 4th project that we're planning. We're the new schools planning for geothermal, the town campus administration office is geothermal funded, and so is the Academy Street School. So we've funded traditional mechanical system replacement and 100% air conditioning. We also know that we have to upgrade the electrical system. So that's why it's such a huge number to replace all those things. We did not count on geothermal. We do know that there's an additional cost for the wells. And I always planned on, we could drill the wells and then, the restoration of the site's going to be important. If we could put the baseball field on top of where we put the wells, it'll it'll make the project that much more, economically feasible, will save money, it'll do it at the same time. And the baseball field's been on the list for a long time, so. Is it safe? Yes. Will we keep and maintain the field? Yes. The new athletic director, Chris, met with the town. Craig Taylor, our superintendent of grounds, is going to help and do some maintenance on the field this fall. It's a grass field. It's going to take maintenance. It's going to take clay and grass just need a lot of maintenance and repairs. If we want to upgrade it and update it, that's going to be much more aggressive. And I took this number from an existing facility that I think is Brian McMahon in Fairfield County has an existing site that they renovated to do exactly what we're looking at. So I got the numbers from their bids. They had bids, and it was a project, similar size, similar project, but we could always modify the scope and, change the numbers and reduce what we propose. But so that's it. We moved out the track itself, and we moved out the field, and we put those together to make it, maybe get some value in doing them both at the same time. And we also moved the lights out for all three facilities, because we proposed lights for the tennis courts, the girls softball, and the boys softball. All nice to have, but I don't think it's crucial for the operations of the athletic program. It's a nice to have. So we put it out farther. I think that summarizes it. The summary at the bottom, you can see it's 11.5 million. I think we started at 28, and I think we came down to the 20s, and now we're down to 11. I know that the town was hoping that we were going to get it to 5 to 7, but we've made significant. And the only other thing I think we could move out is the baseball, and then you would get it down to 10.
But you're not
No.
proposing that right now.
What's that?
But you're not proposing moving the baseball field out any further at this time.
No, I'm proposing, let's see what we can do we are going to look at these grants. I'm not a grant person, so I don't know the probability of that, but there's definitely some indication that, some of the things have changed and lightened the requirements of some of these benefits that municipalities didn't get in the past, because we're non-for-profit, and the tax benefits were what really saved money. If we were for profit, we could save significantly more, but my understanding, they're changing those rules so we can get the benefit even though we're taxpayers. We're going to write us a check, I guess, for up to 30% is my understanding. So if we can do that, we could save the money, and we can maybe, the additional costs we could add it to the project and then do these things. But I'm not 100% confident, but I think we should leave it on to make that option available if the funding's available. If it's not, maybe we have to move it out.
Got it. Okay. So just so I understand properly, the athletics, tennis courts are staying where they are. Don't want to move the baseball field any further than 25, 26 because of the connection with the pulse and geothermal. The lights, the track, and the field within the track have been moved out further, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Okay, and that brings us at 11.5 million overall. Okay, got it. Some fancy footwork here. I appreciate all your hard work. I know it's been a long process, and like we've said before, I know you know this in and out, Bill. So appreciate all your hard work.
I also need to say that I think the geothermal for the wells is way too far out. I mean, it's just on the plan. If we actually go through for the geothermal, I don't know what the time frame will be, and it might have to move up, but I assume if we move it, it won't matter if we get the grant and where we have it on the plan. So I just want to be clear on that. It's on the plan just to show that it's on there. What year it happens, And if it gets funded, it might have to move on the plan if we are successful. Because in thinking of the process, even though I've never done a geothermal well system, I assume we got to start with the wells. You're not going to put all the mechanical systems in without putting the wells in first, is my assumption. So if we're going to upgrade our heating and air conditioning systems before 25, 26, I assume the wells have to go in first and it'll move up.
Got
But
it.
only, my assumption is only if we find the funding for it. So I just wanted to be clear about that. It's on the schedule pretty far out. My feeling is either we're going to find the money or it's going to be moved out, or we'll have to do it separately.
Okay,
I just wanted to clarify that because I don't really like
Yeah.
where it is, but it doesn't matter if we don't find the funding. I assume we're not going to do it.
true. Okay. No, that's a good point, recognizing that things might have to move around based on funding received or this
Project schedule. And,
Yeah,
and in 8 months, I'm thinking 8 months, we're going to have a really good plan for the different options of our mechanical system for Polson, which I'll bring back to the facilities committee. And we're going to have to revisit this, but I don't have the data yet to have a factual conversation. I will in the next 3 months, but I'll have a better plan in 5 to 8, and then we can relook at it on a realistic cost benefit analysis. And hopefully we'll have some better ideas on where the funding is, if it's available for additional resources. So I just want you to know that that particular date is a variable.
got it. Okay, thank you, Bill. I appreciate that. Okay, so the plan will be for us to, we'll see if anyone else has any questions or comments, but to move this out of facilities during this meeting and then bring it to the board for a vote tonight. Just want to make sure that's the plan, everyone's in agreement on that. Does anyone have any questions, committee members, or comments before we move forward with a vote?
No, it seems well thought out. We always had our eyes on the Daniel Hand units on the roof, and the fact that the town is looking at some support for that, which was one of the things we were hoping for. This makes perfect sense to me. Further clarification on, 6 years out, what those specific costs are, is still an open question. But, I also appreciate, that's a moving target with all the grants and other possibilities. It's, there's not a whole lot we can say about it at this point.
Thanks to Bill and Dr. Cook and Stacy for a really good job.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. It's not been easy, but we sure appreciate it, and the flexibility to meet and revise and meet and revise. All right, so let's move forward. Do I have a motion to approve the CIP plan as revised and presented today?
Sure. I'll make the motion.
Thank you, Stephen. Do I have a second? Galen? Any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. I'll make a report tonight at our meeting. And Bill, if you just are gonna be online for that portion of the meeting, if there's any comments or questions from the board, I would appreciate it.
No problem. Happy to be there. Would
Super.
you like me to have copies made up and you're going to want to hand them out? I know Wendy's down there. Wendy, can you help me with that?
I think that would be super if that's possible, Bill.
Yeah, we can take
make
care of that,
sure
Bill. Not a
Yes,
problem, Bill.
Bill, I do have copies. My apologies. I do have copies sitting here waiting.
Thank you, Wendy. I knew you would. So just was confirming. Okay, so you'll have copies. I'll be online. I can share and we can go over it. But if they have it in front of them, I don't know if they want me to or not. So
Okay, thank
Great.
you. Appreciate that, Bill.
no problem. Looking forward to it.
All right, so the next item on our agenda today is the Polson MEP Upgrade and Firm Award. Do you want to start with that, Bill?
Yes, I do. Very happy to. We had 4 firms reply to our respond to our request for proposals and qualifications for the mechanical and electrical and plumbing upgrades that we want to do for Topolson. And so this is the first phase to do the schematic design, and they say 20 to 30% design to get reasonable, updated costs and feasibilities for. They're going to propose 3 different alternatives with cost benefit analysis, one being, of course, the geothermal. I believe that we have the funding for the traditional replacement and addition of the 100% air conditioning for the building and the upgrade of the electrical. So I think that's covered. What I don't believe is covered that we want to add to the scope is geothermal. And, that involves the wells. We'll look at that cost and they'll do the benefit. They'll also, with this, look at, the generator, installing the generator, have at least a design for that. And the town's working on the funding to put the generator in to make it the shelter that we've already agreed on. So the 3 proposals, we had 4 firms. We interviewed 3. In the interview was Blair. He works for Colliers. He has a mechanical and electrical background. He's very knowledgeable in the field, and he led the questions. I was there myself, Emily, and Catherine Hart, the principal of the school. And I would say that very impressive firms. All 4 were very impressive. The 3 that we interviewed are very, highly recommended, and I think very competent firms. But the bottom line is we liked BL the best. We thought that they were the most diverse. They had the most depth for us, and we thought that they could serve us the best. And the pricing was, basically a couple. It was, I think, 7,000 more in the range. It wasn't significant. So I'm recommending, and the committee agreed with me, to move forward with the BL company, which I proposed a memo to the Board of Selectmen at their next meeting, Monday, the 26th. So I hope to get them on board quickly. I hope to have an update. It's going to take them a little bit to review the existing conditions and come up with a report and a schedule. The schedule is for, a preliminary report in this November, December. We talked about it. If we do the geothermal, it might get extended a little bit. So I think around the holiday times, first of the year, we'll have a report to share with the committee, and then we have to make a decision on what we want to do. And the facilities committee will help me and give me guidance and direction. And I think as a team, we'll make a decision on what we want to do when we have all the data in front of us and we find out about what grants are out there. And then my concern is that if we go for the grants, we'll have to wait. And will we want to wait when we have the funds to, make the traditional replacement? I think that's going to be the big decision, but let's wait until we get the reports, and then we could look at the data and make the decision based on what the real questions are, not what I am guessing.
Thank
So-
you.
Any questions about the firm or the plan?
Bill, question on one of the grants that I think the board would want to know. $150 million is set aside statewide for HVAC work in schools. Our understanding, you and I have talked about our understanding of those grants, is any project would have to be done by December of 2024. If you worked on this 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, could you get the Polson project done by December of 2024?
I don't see that happening.
Right.
Not without significantly disrupting the school. So that's a clarifier. And one time when I was in my early years here, we replaced the roof during school after hours. And it was one of the hardest jobs we had. And every day, no matter what the construction company did for cleanup, there was always, always issues. And even though we did it after hours, it was a successful project, and chairman of the Board of Education was all in support of it, and he wanted to do it, so no problems, but, you know, it was tough construction. Anything during school or after hours is difficult, but not impossible. So, you know, I want to clarify that. You know, if we have the palate to have some disruption and we think it's worth it, and maybe it is economically, or, you know, if they give us half the money or some crazy amount, you know, I think we reconsider. But I don't know if we're going to get that. It's $150 million worth of funding. And I don't know what the requests out there are, but I'm sure they're a lot. And, you know, we've been talking about it, that Dr. Cook and I and Colliers, about these grants, and they're on, you know, they're on top of it. They're talking to the state. They know the people who are going to be, once they give us the requirements to submit by, they don't even have those applications yet, and how they're going to manage it and how they're going to, you know, review them. We don't even know, you know, what they're going to be asking for. We know it's for schools. We believe it's for older schools, and we have the time frame. I think December of is it December of this year? I think it has to be submitted by
December 1st of this year.
Yeah, and then next year sometime they're going to award it, and then it has to be done by December of 30th of 2024. That's, to me, that's, I don't know, you know, I could do a boiler maybe. I don't know. What we're talking about is, you know, I was concerned I was going to be able to do it in 3 summers. You know, that might have to go to 4 or 5. I was really thinking this is a 3 to 5 year plan, you know. But let me get the report. We'll know a little more in December if we have to apply by December, we'll have a lot more. We have professional guys on board. You know, we had good professionals give us some ideas for traditional replacement. Now we're going to have another firm come in with the more aggressive approach and other options. So we'll have a good feel by December on what the status is, I think, and what we can feasibly do. And then put into that, you know, switchgear. We're talking about replacing the electrical system. The switchgear is out like a year, I think. You know, if we ordered it today, you know, we wouldn't get it. We might not get the electrical system in, and we have to get the electrical system in to change the, you know, I don't know how you could put that in. If we get the money and award it in next summer of 23, I don't know if we'll have the electrical supplies by 24, you know? So I'm going to be very difficult, if not impossible, unless we reduce the scope.
Sorry to put you on the spot like that, but I mean, you could answer it.
No, you know, it's my opinion based on preliminary information. And I think in December, we'll have a better understanding, you know, and I think we'll be able to give it a good, when we have to apply, we'll apply and have perspective. And then in 6 months from then, I assume we'll know if we got the money or not.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay.
And then we'll have to evaluate what that's involved.
All right. Well, that's good to know. I know, Bill, I appreciate you. It's not impossible. You know, anything is possible. And we know if anyone can do it, you can, Bill, but not without cost and challenge. So I think that's important for us to acknowledge and consider.
Yeah, and the impact to the students and the staff. I mean, if they don't have heat and they're cold or they're really hot, as we know, they're uncomfortable. It's very hard to teach.
Yeah.
And then there's people who have sensitive environmental issues, and you know that's not acceptable. So we all know that the indoor air quality of the schools affect the educational program. So if we're ripping it out and they don't have it, we're going to have to do phasing. And if we do phasing, that's going to make the cost go up.
Yeah. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on that. I appreciate that. I just wanted to really quick comment. I did participate in the interviews last week. And I thought they were, as Bill said, really well organized. It was really nice to have Blair there with his professional expertise and perspective. And they were very good firms, but definitely I think we were in agreement that BL companies definitely had, you know, strong capacity, can really do it all. And we were very impressed with their presentation. So I will report to the board on that. But Bill, you don't need the facilities committee or the board to take action on that. This is more for informational purposes, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
The Board of Education's, I think, procurement policies is that I inform you of what I'm doing and keep you up to date. The Board of Selectmen have to take a position, and I'm gonna bring it to them. The funding is sort of through the town process, not the Board of Ed, although they quite commonly just refer it to you. So in this particular case, because it's a significant amount of money, I'm gonna go to the Board of Selectmen.
Yep.
And I think if you notify the Board of Ed the plan, I think that's the only thing we have to do.
Sounds good. I'll do that for sure. Thank you, Bill. Any questions from the committee about the firm or the Polson MEP upgrade before we move on? Okay. So our last item on the agenda before public comment is anything else? Any other items for consideration or discussion this evening? Bill, Craig, nothing from you too? You've talked enough about facilities?
I always have things to talk about, so
I know you do.
the facilities, the new school committee's been meeting. They set their schedule for the, I want to say the in staff with the teachers and the administration, and then the public workshops. So those have been set, and I think the meetings that I've attended, they've been getting a lot of good input from the teachers and the administration. I think that's one of the things I always hear people say is, where are the teachers in this? Where's the, where are the administrators? And I always say, well, they're at all these meetings. They're behind the scenes. I've never seen the principals been involved as much in this project than I've had in any. And now there's two delegates that Dr. Cook put in and that have had a significant input and are going to have more. So I think that's a key point that I think needs to be more public, because people always ask that question thinking that we do it in a blind, and that the superintendent and I decide what's going on in the school, which is far from reality. So I think that's an important point. The other thing is that the building committee, school building committee, is making a recommendation for a construction management firm for Monday at the Board of Selectmen's meeting. So we'll have them on board hopefully Monday, and we're rolling. We have the architectural firm, we have the commissioning agent already on board, we'll have the construction management firm on, and hopefully the land trust property thing will get resolved in the near future. We're up and running. There's always been questions about, are we going to make it? Are we going to open in September of 25? And I believe we are. That was one of the questions we talked about last night. Some of the members asked that. And, we're on time, on schedule. We have a very clear schedule and we're meeting it. And one of the things that Chuck pointed out last night at the building committee meeting is, they've just finished $180 million with some school system, and they did over 8 years or something. And they used the same system that we're using on time. They've been on time, on budget, and, have made it happen. So I'm very confident that we have the right players and the right professional services, and the committee, the building committee is, I think, doing a great job. So I just, I'm a staff trying to help support, but I don't have to do much because the committee's doing a great job. The professional services that we've hired are doing a great job. And I think, you get what you pay for. We're hired professionals. We don't pick the lowest one. We're not trying to save $1 to get the job. We're trying to get the job done with the professional services that we pick. So I can't speak highly enough about the committee and the way it's going to date. So I think it's important that you know that, and you guys aren't going to the meetings. I know I am, and I'm definitely happy with the progress.
That's real. I'm so glad to hear that. And I think that's important. And I saw that Tecton's having the public information session next week. And I'm wondering, I think, it would be really neat for at some point, maybe the committee or even the board to just get a little update, maybe from Tecton at a future facilities meeting, Bill, how their workshops.
I'm looking for the flyer. I was looking for the flyer. I couldn't find it. It's on my desk. It's, probably underneath the paper. I couldn't shuffle over.
But
The answer is the building committee talked about making a public presentation in the near future. I think they wanted to get these professional services on board.
Yep.
And they're gonna do that. I will definitely make sure that you guys have the information on the internal group meetings and the public meetings and the forums. So I want to say it's at Polson some evening. I know I have it written down on a Wednesday night.
Polson Wednesday at 6 p.m. Wednesday the 28th.
Yeah.
Wednesday the 28th. So there, Wednesday the 28th. Yeah, I knew it was coming up, you know, and I definitely think, you know, some Board of Ed members are interested. They definitely come, and you can all call me offline and I'm happy to share, you know, the background and the details of the information as well.
Or just even when, you know, they've come to give us presentations in the past, and whenever their next one is, to give us a little update on that would be nice to hear for those of us who can't make the public forum or workshop. That'd be great.
Well, what I'll do, and this is another huge positive, is that Tecton is doing the new school and Brown. So next time, and I have them coming every once in a while, and we do owe an update because we're trying to get I'm meeting with them tomorrow about the schedule and the scope and what we're doing for next summer. Maybe the end of next month, our meeting at the end of October, I'll bring them for an update on Brown. And at the same time, we could do an update on the new school. So I'll definitely keep the facilities committee up to date at I think it's the 27th. I don't know, but I'll put it on the end of November. End of the October meeting.
That'd be great. Thank you, Bill.
No problem.
All right. Anything else for discussion this evening? No, seeing none. Okay, so we'll move on. Any members of the public who would like to make any comments this evening?
Emily, Diane was on and she no longer is on, but there are 3 comments from her.
Okay.
Can you see them?
Yes, I can. I'll read them.
If you can't, I can.
No, I think I can. Let me just go away from my full screen here.
Can you highlight the changes in the CIP from the ones from 8:30 to 22? I don't know if I could do that between now and tonight.
I think I got that information hopefully sorted out, that I can at least talk through that at the board meeting tonight, just so we're clear what's changed. I think we can get that information to Diane if we can't highlight it. That's fine, Bill.
Can you see them?
Yes, I can see them now. The bulk of the cost is 7 years away. I think she's referring to the Polson bathroom ADA updates. She writes, the bulk of the cost is 7 years away. What does this mean? What will be left for 7 years from now?
Right. So the explanation is I'm pulling it up. I can share it with you if you'd like.
Sure.
Can you see it?
No.
Maybe not. How about now?
Yes, we can. Thank
I
you.
forgot to push the share button. So the 7 years. So the bulk is the 4.2 million and 3.9. That's year. I think that's 6 and 7 right there. That's the 7 millions I think she's referring to. It's almost 8. So what we're doing, and I think we'll have to recalculate once we get out that far. If we do the bulk of the work in years 1 and 2 for both the ADA and door hardware and bathrooms, you know, we're going to reevaluate that. We put a small amount in the years 3, 4, and 5, and 6 in one of them. We'll reevaluate that. I know that this number is going to change. So it means that in reality, it means that most of the work would be done in years 6 and 7. Most of the work will be done in years 1 and 2, and then 6 and 7. So we won't do much work between years 1 and 2 and 6 and 7. We'll do most of the work. We'll do a significant amount of the work in years 1 and 2, and then we'll do the majority of the work in 6 and 7. And the reason they're so large is because it's the escalation of the cost. We used 4% per year, and to bring it out that long, that 4% compounds. And so it's more of an escalation cost. It's, I think that's why it's so high. And I really think that we'll reevaluate after we get years 2 and 3 in, and then those numbers are going to change. They're
Okay.
planning dollars, and I have to put in the escalation because it's part of the formula. And it just makes the numbers, I think, look a little extreme, but it's part of the formula. I hope that answers your question.
I hope so too. I'll report on that to Diane. Thank you, Bill.
No problem.
All right, do we have any other members of the, nope, I don't see any other members of the public. All right, that's all I think of that we have for today. Anything else before we adjourn this evening?
Can I clarify, would you like me to try to highlight I could probably try to highlight the Polson hardware and doors and hardware in the bathrooms, and I can highlight the in yellow. I'll just highlight those yellow. Is that, would you like me to do that for tonight?
If that's doable, Bill, sure. I know we're on a quite tight timeline, so
I think I could do that. I can't, just want to make sure those are the 3 things. I'll do the ADA bathrooms and the hardware, and I'll do the athletic track. Dr. Cook, did I move anything else? Those are the 3 main things, right?
Right.
I can do that. I'll just highlight them in yellow.
and
That's what they
even
asked, right?
and even Bill, if you highlight it and then you just email that to the board, we don't need to print out new copies of everything. I know Wendy.
Yeah, I think that's fine, Bill, because Wendy had just already printed copies, so I think we're good.
If you just want to email a highlighted version.
You send it to me, Bill. I'll take care of it.
I'll have it done. I can highlight in the next 20 minutes, and I'll send it to Dr. Cook, and I'll send it to the committee because I have their email addresses, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
Well, I sure appreciate that.
So I'll be on Zoom,
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
and we'll see you later. Any other questions for me?
Thanks so much, Bill. Don't know what we do
Anytime.
without you.
Happy to do it.
Thank you.
Fun stuff.
All right, so we will adjourn now, 5:21, and report on this tonight at the board meeting. Sound good, everyone?
Great.
Good. Thank you.
All right, thanks, everyone. Bye-bye. Thanks, Wendy.